Hey yo, what's good guys? Welcome back to Annie Recapped. Today we bring you the second part of Outbreak Company. What awaits our main character Shinichi further in the story, let's find out together. But before we proceed, do subscribe to Annie Recapped if you want to find more awesome animes to watch. Now let's get the show going. Shinichi points out the mistakes in the purchasing orders of the anime, manga, and video games made by Matoba. He uses this as an opportunity and requests that Matoba let him return to Japan only once to buy all the stuff. Due to continuous persistence from Shinichi, he agrees on one condition. He'll be drugged and taken in a sleeping bag since the location of the hole is top secret. Later, he informs Miusel and orders her to let people from the SDF carry him along with his luggage. She hesitantly asks him if he will come back, and he replies positively. However, the scene then shifts to a flashback in which Shinichi requests that Matoba let him take Miusel. He denies it and states that residents of Eldon develop respiratory problems the moment they set foot on Earth, and the risk of death is 100%. Later, Miusel tells Shinichi that she won't be able to see him off, but she'll leave his luggage by the door. Afterwards, a soldier from the SDF carries out 2 bags, one with a note attached to it, but it falls off. In her palace, Petralka gets overwhelmed with her official work. However, to motivate her, Gallius promises to bring Shinichi after completion. Later, Shinichi wakes up in his room and finds Miusel in a bag, which shocks him. He finds out that she's able to breathe normally and realizes that Matoba tricked him. The scene then shifts to Matoba, where Minori informs him about Miusel's situation. However, he orders her to stay calm about it. Petralka is motivated to meet Shinichi, but Matoba informs Gallius and Zaharl about his current situation. On the other hand, Shinichi decides to take Miusel to Akiba, the origin of Otaku culture. She gets highly excited by the modernization and the similarities between Japan and Otaku culture. He teaches her how to use the train, and they reach Akiba, where she finds out about cosplay. Later, they visit a soba restaurant for lunch, and she gets scared by the unique cutting of the vegetables. Shinichi takes her to various other places, and during the evening, they visit the maid cafe. A maid artist named Yumi draws faces on their food, and Miusel orders her to draw Shinichi's face on her food. The day ends, and after returning to their room, she shows her gratitude to Shinichi. However, he gets excited by being alone with her and starts to imagine some sexual thoughts about her. To control his urge, he decides to visit the supermarket to buy her undergarments and orders her to take a bath. Yeah, I'm sure that will help. Petralka is close to finishing her work, which worries Gallius, but Zaharl tells him he has a plan. Shinichi buys the underwear, however, he's still excited and turned on by his thoughts. He finally musters up the courage to visit his room again. Nevertheless, much to his surprise, he finds Miusel sleeping while wearing his shirt. On the other hand, Zaharl tries to disguise himself as Shinichi, but Petralka instantly finds out the truth and walks away sadly. Shinichi wakes up in Eldon, however, he informs Matoba that he failed to buy anything. Petralka gets overwhelmed and tired by endless official work and orders the maids to leave her alone. Miusel makes the food she ate on Earth, and everyone enjoys it to the fullest. Shinichi and Minori visit the castle and learn that Petralka has run away and left a note saying that she's fed up with her duties. However, Gallius issues an immediate search order, but Shinichi finds her sleeping in a box in an empty room. He gets followed by Gallius, who wakes her up and requests that she return to her duties, and she instantly agrees. The next day, Shinichi finds out that Petralka has abandoned all her duties and locked herself in her room. She has placed a magic barrier on the door, and no Eldon inhabitant can enter her room. Shinichi and Minori realize that Petralka has fallen victim to an illness known as hikikomori. During this period, a person spontaneously retreats from work, studies, human relationships, and other aspects of normal daily life. Ultimately, the individuals lock themselves away in their home or their room for a prolonged period of time, severing all contact with the outside world. Minori and Matoba forcefully handle the responsibility for Shinichi, and he orders everyone to leave him alone. Gallius blames himself and informs Shinichi that Petralka is her first cousin. He further states that when the previous emperor died, she was first in line for the throne and he was second. Therefore, she became the Empress and he became her AD. However, Petralka's parents were murdered by his parents over a conflict. Gallius states that Petralka takes huge responsibility for her role and requests Shinichi to rescue her, and he promises to help her. He knocks on the door and she permits him to enter. However, he decides to reorganize her room into a perfect hikikomori room. He instructs her on different aspects of being a hikikomori and tells her to enjoy her life to the fullest. Minori meets Gallius and tells him to have faith in Shinichi. However, she takes a peek inside the room and gets shocked. She then informs Miusel and Shinichi will stay in Petralka's room and will not be returning tonight. The scene then shifts to Petralka, who tells Shinichi that she wants to take a bath, and they successfully sneak into the bathroom. As he waits patiently on the other side, she tells him that no one understands her and that she will not do any more work while taking a bath. Miusel burns the dinner due to the shock, which causes distress at the dinner table. Shinichi and Petralka sneak past the soldiers once more, however, she is surprised to learn that they are concerned about her. Upon returning to her room, Shinichi tells her why he became a hollow and says most people end up being one without any choice. She starts to have second thoughts about her decision and recalls all the good memories. Shinichi informs her that with time, the exit door starts to feel heavier, which frustrates her. The next morning, she decides to quit being a hikikomori and opens the door, where Gallius and Zahara greet her. Gallius shows her gratitude towards Shinichi as he leaves with Petralka. Miusel has joined Shinichi's school staff and successfully teaches the students. Gallius visits Shinichi to repay him for his aid, and Shinichi recalls that Matoba ordered Minori to use her vacation in this world. Consequently, he asks Gallius for a place to go on vacation, and he offers to let him use the Imperial Villa, which has a beautiful lake near it. Minori offers Miusel and Shinichi to join her, and he gets excited as the swimming episode of his life has finally arrived. Later, he gets excited by Minori's revealing swimsuit and starts staring at her breasts. He gets further pumped up by looking at Miusel and Elbia wearing swimsuits too. The scene then shifts to Petralka preoccupied with paperwork, and Gallius offers her to take the evening off to join Shinichi, and she tells him to take care of the other thing. A group of scholars appointed by Gallius decide on the perfect swimsuit for Petralka, and one of them continuously recommends the classic swimsuit. On the other hand, Miusel and Shinichi play with each other in the lake by splashing water. As they're having a snack, suddenly Roik visits them and informs them that Romilda has been attacked by an unknown group. Minori believes that the unknown group might be the terrorist organization that attacked Shinichi previously and decides to capture them. Elbia draws a sketch, and along with Miusel, Roik, and Shinichi decides to assist Minori. The enemy is hiding in the bushes and camouflage, and Elbia attacks them aggressively. Miusel and Roik use their offensive magic and they defeat the enemy successfully. However, the enemy tries to flee. Elbia recklessly follows the enemy and gets trapped. Then Miusel successfully uses her magic to capture the enemy again, but one of the soldiers captures her. Shinichi runs towards the enemy to help her, and Minori shoots a bullet in the air to alert everyone. They finally capture the enemy, however, much to their surprise, it's the SDF who were appointed to guard them. Miusel hugs Shinichi, however, her bra falls off, which causes her to scream and lose control of her magic. Later, Minori interrogates the SDF and finds out they were peeping and capturing photos of the women, which makes her furious. The scene then shifts to the group of scholars who finalize the swimsuit for Petralka. Surprisingly, the classic swimsuit was recommended and she states that she loves it. Shinichi meets Minori, who's dressed in tight maid clothes, and she informs him that Miusel accidentally washed all of her clothes. Unable to control his urge, he accidentally grabs her chest, and Matoba visits them. Later, he informs them that the footage of the soccer match was accidentally leaked by someone and must be removed from the internet. Shinichi suggests converting the leaked footage into a scene from a fantasy movie, a flashy entertainment feature made with SDF's full cooperation. He introduces the idea of developing a fake documentary, and Minori decides to become the director as she already has some experience in filming. Later, Gallius and Shinichi act in the movie along with Petralka using her magical powers. However, Minori decides to take a 30-minute break, and Shinichi gets surprised by Miusel and Elba's student costumes. He praises Petralka's costume as well, and the scene shifts to a flashback in which he requests her to play the heroine as he believes she is the perfect candidate. Later, Minori informs Matoba that the students have been helping them with cosplay and script writing. Suddenly, an SDF soldier informs her that they have found a dragon's nest, and she goes with him. In a cave, she meets Luna, the dragon tamer, whose miraculous voice allows her to tame any fearsome beast. He tells Minori that her armpits are sweaty and finds the dragon sleeping peacefully. Luna informs everyone that dragons' noses are quite sensitive and warns to avoid the use of any sprays, especially antiperspirants, because they enrage a dragon. However, Minori does accidentally use a spray in her armpits, and the dragon indeed becomes enraged and attacks them. On the other hand, Shinichi accidentally visits the changing room and finds Elbia, Petralka, and Miusel naked in the room, which makes him embarrassed. Afterwards, Petralka is dressed in a bold outfit, and Shinichi tells Miusel that they have to show the audience that the film has been made using special effects. Later on, they shoot multiple scenes, and Shinichi realizes that Petralka has been enjoying it a lot. Subsequently, Minori visits Roik and Romilda, the editing team, and informs them that the movie is a tribute to Rental Madoka. However, their main goal is to combine multiple ripoffs to create a big commotion, which would cancel the production. In the final scene, they decide to use a fake animatronic dragon with Petralka. However, the same soldier points out Minori's sweaty armpits, and Luna informs him that there is another dragon's lair nearby. As the scene begins, a real dragon appears and starts attacking everyone. However, Petralka doesn't realize this and acts normal. Luna discovers Minori's spray was the cause of the dragon's emergence and fails to tame it. Gallius orders his soldiers to fight the dragon. However, the SDF shoots multiple gunshots, which cause the dragon to fly away. Later, during the pre-screening, Petralka is embarrassed by her high-pitched voice and orders the film to be erased. Fortunately, Shinichi states that due to multiple copyrights, they were able to get the leaked video removed. Later, Petralka states that she enjoyed the acting and kisses Shinichi on his cheek as a token of gratitude. Matoba praises Shinichi and tells him to keep up the good work, which makes him happy. Afterwards, he meets a student named Edward, who shows him his original light novel, which surprises Shinichi. Later, he realizes that the number of deliveries has decreased from before, and Minori suggests he go along with it. At night, Miyusel tells him that he has been working hard, and he shows his gratitude to her. The next morning, he gets surprised by Elbia's character design, and later witnesses an argument over a manga between his students. He had no idea the otaku culture would be so popular, so he asked Matoba for more supplies. Later, he meets him, however, and much to his surprise, finds out that the Japanese government has been doing it intentionally. Matoba tells him that he's an invader, and the government envisioned an invasion via culture since they couldn't do it by any other means. They used otaku culture as a weapon to change the fundamental values of Eldent and force them to become accustomed to it. Matoba tells Shinichi that it's a national secret, and he chose him only because the removal of his existence from the real world didn't bother anyone. Shinichi gets devastated by this, and later, Minori tells him that this land is a treasure for the Japanese government, but they can't use the JSDF. Because if the foreign powers find out, they'd be forced to take action, and waging a war is too risky. Shinichi thinks about quitting, and Minori suggests he remembers what happens to such a person in otaku culture. The next day, they have a tea party with Petralka, and she believes Shinichi's mood is down. She informs him that she has decided to spread otaku culture across the country, and Shinichi declines. This upsets Petralka, and she asks him about the reason. However, Shinichi decides he won't be able to continue and shuts himself off in his room. Matoba tells Minori that the higher-ups will not tolerate such behavior and decides to find a replacement. She tries to persuade him, but ends up in vain, and Matoba warns him to continue his work. Later, he meets Miyusel and gets overwhelmed to see that she has made his favorite food to cheer him up. He tells her that he's an invader and it's wrong for him to be with her in this country. She's unable to understand and tells him he's a kind person who helped her in every aspect of her life. She starts crying and begs him to stay with her, which ultimately boosts his confidence. The next day, he visits the castle with Matoba and proposes an idea to Petralka. He instructs them to create their manga and anime in mass production. He further shows her the light novel and artwork made by Edward and Elbia. She agrees to the idea, however, Matoba becomes furious with him. The SDF tries to assassinate Shinichi in his sleep, however, the personal maids of Petralka defeat the enemy with ease. Later, Matoba apologizes to Shinichi and Petralka and calls it an unsanctioned attack by a group of radicals. He states this might have occurred due to Shinichi's activities against the interests of the government and calls it a surprise. He further assures that such an incident will not occur again and that the culprits will be punished as well. Later, Petralka states that the Japanese government still views Shinichi as a nuisance, and Gallius believes something like this will end the diplomatic relations between the two nations. Afterwards, the following days went by peacefully, and Shinichi was protected by the personal maids. However, soon, due to zero threats, Petralka calls them back, and later, Shinichi realizes that the government is completely fulfilling his requests. Suddenly, the castle gets attacked with an exterminating flame by the Bahilim on the northern wall. Petralka's maid informs her that there have been multiple attacks, including one on the school. She calls Miyusel, who notices that Shinichi is running towards the school all alone. Minori overhears confidential information from Matoba and the SDF. However, she gets caught by SDF soldiers. The scene then shifts to school, where Shinichi visits the library to retrieve the data. However, he gets caught by the SDF too, who make him unconscious. Miyusel, Elbia, and Brooke reach the school and enter from the back. Elbia defeats the SDF soldiers, and Miyusel finds the unconscious Shinichi. She saves him from a falling rack with her magic and notices that her powers are dropping. On the other hand, Elbia gets overpowered by the soldiers, and Minori saves her. Afterwards, Miyusel and Shinichi are saved by them, and later he wakes up to find Matoba. He requests that he let him talk to his superiors, and he agrees. Later, he holds a meeting through a webcam with the Japanese official, who orders him to either return or perform his current duty with strict restrictions from the government. However, he refuses to come back and decides to continue his position as general manager. The Japanese official gets furious and threatens him, but calms down as soon as he hears Petralka's Japanese. He gets surprised by her fluency, and she threatens to cut their diplomatic relations if something happens to Shinichi. In the end, the government agrees to Shinichi's conditions and decides to cut down funding if he tries to step down as the general manager. He shows his gratitude to Miyusel and thanks her for saving him, and later he decides to teach Eldent about the otaku culture. And that would be the end of today's episode. Thanks so much for sticking till the end. If you enjoyed our recap, drop us a like and subscribe to Annie Recapped for more content like this. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.